He was standing in the crease and batting them down.
13 seconds remaining in Ravlich's penalty. 1-0, Chicago leading. Now a shot by Ted Harris. He picked up the rebound off Makita over on this side of Russo. The shot. And it goes off Bosco's right leg, and Bosco feels that one. He's limping around. Ted Harris clearing it into the Chicago zone. Al McNeil playing it back on the boards to Makita. Ravlich is back on. They're playing 5 aside. Makita. He's upended by Duff. The crowd roared on that. Bob Russo takes the shot. It's wide. And the reaction of the crowd, they thought there should have been a penalty to Duff. There's Al McNeil starting down on the line. A weak shot picked up in front. And it's J.C. Tremblay from Montreal. Tremblay circling around to get away from Bobby Hull. Off Paul Russo playing it back into the corner. And it's Duff there for Montreal. We've played 12 minutes and 33 seconds in this, the opening period. Canadiens starting up. A bouncing shot by Duff. The rebound. McNeil from the corner. Coming out. Mackey is with him. McNeil shot it off the boards in the corner. It's centered back. And Russo turning for Montreal. Comes over on this side. Goes to the line. Fakes the shot. But he was stopped by Jarrett. Tremblay to Russo at the Chicago line. Over on this side. Provo lost it to Bobby Hull. And Hull plays it on the boards on the left side. It goes to McNeil now. Bellevaux and Pierre Pilote are getting set to come back on. Richard almost got it there. Jarrett cleared it down on the left wing. And it's called for icing against Chicago. You know, that 3-1 Chicago victory on Thursday has fired up the Hawk fans. You know, further, that after the 2 defeats in Montreal, Chicago fans were pretty low. For them, the outlook for a series win was bleak, but with the return of Pilote and Warm and the consequent 3-1 victory on Thursday, these fans feel that the Stanley Cup could yet wind up in Chicago. 1-0, Chicago leading right here in the 4th game. Now it's back to the point. Talbot cleared it into the corner. Richard going in against Pierre Pilote. Berenson tried to hook it clear. He's jammed out of the play by Bosco. It's loose to Provo. He fanned on it. Now it comes back to Harper. Screen shot. And it was wide. Over on the right wing. Mackey getting it ahead to Esposito. He cleared it out over the line. Finally, it's Talbot, a right wing pass to Provo. Provo going into Richard. Richard lost it to Mackey. Mackey around the Chicago net. There's going to be a penalty to Berenson. Glenn Hall is coming out of the net. Now Pilote coming down for Chicago. In they go. A backhand shot, and it's called on the offside. And there was plenty of excitement there. With the Chicago net wide open, Hall had gone over on the delayed whistle for the penalty to the Chicago bench, and they had the extra attacker on. Berenson is going off. And we'll have the announcement on that. At 14:05, Berenson of the Canadiens for holding. And Canadiens now have a total of 4 penalties, Chicago 2. Now it's Henry on for the first time for Chicago. Roberts plays it out over the line. It's Henry, Esposito, Mackey, Pierre Pilote, and Hull. Back it comes to Hull at the Chicago line. Ahead intended for Henry. It could be icing on this. J.C. Tremblay takes it in on the boards. And Esposito, number 7, and Henry were in there for Chicago. Referee number 2 is Vern Buffy. Now it comes back to Henry, over to Pierre Pilote. The shot hit Ted Harris. He has it on the left wing boards and clears it to center. Pilote over on this side of Hull. Hull going to the line. His weak shot is gobbled up by Tremblay, and Tremblay shoots it down the ice. We have just about 5 minutes now remaining in the opening period. Esposito drops it back to Hall. Talbot almost got it there. Esposito playing it back, and the Hawks are having difficulty getting that power play organized. Now it's broken up. Here's J.C. Tremblay getting a break. He's going up with Talbot. A pass to Talbot, and the shot was wide. A glittering, golden scoring opportunity for Montreal. On a wide shot by Talbot. Now Esposito coming back. He tries to center it. He hit the side of the net. Mackey gets it in the corner. Mackey working back toward the corner. He centered it. It comes off J.C. Tremblay, who apparently played it ahead with his gloved hand, to Talbot, and it's whistled back.
Well, Talbot was just almost off balance as he let that one go. He had Hall beaten, but he was in the general direction of the net, to put it kindly, and that's about all.
35 seconds remaining in Berenson's penalty. Now back it goes. Here's Ravlich working his way in, lost it. It goes to the corner. Ed Harris shot it high over the glass just to the right of the Canadiens players' bench. As we face it from this side, the east side of the Chicago Stadium. It's Moans, Nikita, Warren, Hay, and Ravlich. Now Moans trying to get it back to the point. Here's Roberts starting out for Montreal. Ahead it goes to Talbot. Talbot walking right in there. The shot, and Hall kicked it out. And Talbot walked right in. Now it's Makita. A left wing pass goes to Moans. He's coming down with Warren. They shoot it out to the corner. Warren going in. He centered it. J.C. Tremblay takes it. Ed Harris has it on the boards. Back on the ice comes Berenson. And the play is stopped for the face-off in Montreal territory. And that'll give both clubs an opportunity to make some changes. You know, regardless of how many games this series goes, it'll be the latest Stanley Cup wind-up ever. The previous late date was last year when the Leafs and the Red Wings played their final game 1 year ago tonight, April the 25th. And the Leafs, of course, won the Cup in a seventh and final game. The score was 4-0. Harper has it on the right side. Out it comes to center. McNeil backhands it high, off the boards in the corner. Ferguson for Montreal. He's on with Backstrom and LaRose out to center. Ravlich takes over, turns a right wing pass. Nestorenko shooting it in for Chicago. And it's Harper taking it. Stopped on the boards by Hay. Now a bouncing puck in front. And Stanfield couldn't get it. A pass to center ice. Stanfield stopped it, checking the Canadiens closely. Now a loose puck goes to Nestorenko over to Stanfield. Stanfield trying to get the shot, and he lost it to Ferguson. His pass off Nestorenko's skate back to Ravlich up on this side to McNeil. Ahead it goes to Stanfield. Stanfield trying to get it in front, and he lost it there to LaRose. LaRose coming out with Backstrom at center to the Chicago line. And the net is off its pipe, and they call it back. Charlie Hodge was just defending between the two pipes.
6 inches high.
And you can feel pretty confident when they're coming in on you with the net away back there that they're not going to permit it to go on. It happened when Harper and Nestorenko collided. So the net is back in its moorings. 2 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the opening period. 1-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks on a goal at 2:57 by Stanfield unassisted. Now Dave Ballone is on, and he's centering this line. Nestorenko cleared it in. Ballone from around his own net, playing it up on the boards. It comes out near center. McNeil lost it. Dave Ballone going in, tried to pick it up. A bouncing puck in front of the net to Ravlich. He fired it off the boards. Ed Harris waiting for his teammates to get onside. Dave Ballone, a pass intended for LaRose. Into the corner. Hay gets it to the point. Harper couldn't hold it in. It's out over the line. Now Ballone is coming back in. Here's LaRose getting set for the shot, and he couldn't take the shot against Ravage. On the board, Chicago trying to clear it out. It's still loose. Here's Ferguson going after McNeil, number 19. McNeil has it for Chicago. Taking his time. Out he comes to center, ahead to Stanfield. Knocked off his stick. He goes back for it. Stanfield ahead to Nestorenko. He shoots it in over the Montreal line to the corner. Back there goes Ted Harris. Call for icing. And a minute and 52 seconds remain in the first period. After tonight's game, the Hawks will go by special plane to Montreal. The Canadiens take a special train arriving in Montreal tomorrow afternoon at approximately 3:30. And the fifth game at the Forum in Montreal on Tuesday night. And then if a sixth game is necessary, back here Thursday. If a seventh is necessary, it'll be next Saturday night in Montreal. Richard facing off, gets it back to the point to Harper. Harper takes the shot, got the rebound, and cleared it into the corner. Vasco has it stopped by Provo. He slides it in front. Pierre Palat starting out for Chicago. His pass goes off Provo. Now Mackey shooting it in. Talbot around Charlie Hodge to the other side, up on the wing to Provo to Richard. Richard to the Chicago line, and he lost it. It's loose to Bobby Hull. Hull is winding up, trying to get away from Provo. Provo stays with him. It's at the line. Here's Mackey going near the corner. He tries to center it. Pierre Palat has it for Chicago. He rolled it right in front, and it's kicked out by Hodge. Now Bobby Hull, a weak shot. A loose puck in front of the net. It's centered again. Into the corner goes Mackey. Gets it right out in front. There's a shot by Mackey, which was wide. Now it's Richard bouncing a shot. The rebound. Vasco clearing it off the boards down the ice. Melnick is up there now, number 12. Talbot clearing it up to Berenson. Berenson getting it out over the line. Provo's pass. Picked up. Mackey cleared it ahead. Bobby Hull trying to get over the line against Richard. Richard gets away from Mackey. Now it's back to Mackey. A pass. A loose puck picked up by Melnick. He's over the line. Lost it on the boards to Bobby Hull. He shot right on. And it rolled off Hodge right by the corner. Here's Bobby Hull shooting left-handed. A weak shot. Provo takes the shot. And it goes down wide of the Chicago net. And it's called for icing. That shot by Bobby Hull came off Hodge's pad and just rolled wide to the far side. We have about 5 seconds remaining in the first period. It's Warham, Mikita, and Mons on the face-off. It goes on the boards. Mikita trying to center it. J.C. Tremblay has it, and the period ends. Beliveau and Mikita mixing it up in the corner. They're getting sticks up at each other. Now, the players swarm in there with D'Amico and Pavlich trying to keep them separated. Beliveau and Mikita. They started to shove, and each got a stick up on each other. And the players of both teams moving to that area down there in the corner before they go to their respective dressing rooms. We'll have penalties here at the 20th minute mark, no doubt, of the first period. And so the score at the end of the first period, Chicago 1, Montreal no score. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
Place Ville Marie. Canada stretching 45 stories high. And Imperial is part of it, with services and products for this new nerve center of Canadian business. A huge, complex, breathing machine where people plan, make decisions to speed the nation's progress. "80,000 people a day work, shop, and relax here. 612 feet of towering glass and aluminum pointing to a bigger, brighter way of life. The promise of more now, more in the future, from Imperial Oil, with more products and services for a growing Canada. Always look to Imperial for the best.
Good evening, everyone. Frank Selke Jr. from the basement at the Chicago Stadium with Don Marshall of the New York Rangers. And Donnie, you've seen the last two games of the series. The last one here in Chicago wound up on a bit of a hostile note. This one has started out that way, hasn't it?
Well, it looks as if these players can't get down to their dressing rooms anymore. They want to keep going at it between the periods, much like boxers, and going after the bell.
Don, before we start talking about the first period, just after the season you had an operation on your foot. That's one reason that we're sitting down, to take a little bit of the pressure off your foot. Just what happened and how does it feel?
I had a cyst develop on my ankle bone, I guess early in December, and the doctor in New York felt that it should be operated on after the season. He took it off, and I just got back to Montreal on Monday, and I have to favor it a little right now.
John, maybe that's an indication that all hockey players should have cysts on their ankles, because that second half that you had from December through to the end of the season was probably the best second half you've ever enjoyed.
It is, Frank. I came along well. I started to play with Vic Hadfield and Bob Nevin, and they're two pretty good hockey players to play with.
And they helped you, and you helped them. Don, how about this game? Give us your opinion of the highlights of the first period.
I think the game started off very, very well, very fast, and it's typical of Chicago in their home rink that they start off quickly. Hull had a few good scoring chances, and then Fred Stanfield got away on an early face-off, and he got in for an unassisted goal. I would say that most of the action was at the beginning of the game. Most of the shots on goal, most of the good scoring chances were at the beginning, and then it turned into a pretty good checking game in center ice with the goalers not getting too much work. When the penalties came along, goalers had to work, and I think it was Harris and Talbot were off together, and Charlie Hodge came up very well.
Let me ask you something, Don. There's a situation now where Talbot and Harris were off, and the Canadiens were 2 men short. This is where you have shone over the years as a defensive specialist. What is that one man, that one forward that's out there? What does he have to try to do?
He's got to keep on the puck in a way, but yet he can't go running around the ice too much. If he runs over to one point man, they'll just give it to the other point man. He'll be completely out of play. What could happen, though, if he goes to one point man, one of the defensemen will go to the other, and they'll just pull back in, and they'll get by quite well that way.
Don, this takes a lot of practice, I would think, to get yourself tuned up to play the game that way.
It does. You've got to work with the other players on the ice, and it's a teamwork game all the way, and this is one of the instances where it will pay off.
All right, Don, you're going to be back at the next period and after the game to pick some stars for us. I don't want to put you on the spot, but just what do you look for from here on in this game?
I think probably the second period will be played much the same way as the first period. It will be very tight with each team looking for a good break, and then in the third period, if it's still tight, they'll have to open up. The team behind will have to open up a little.
Okay, Don, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see that you're up and around again. Now let's go down to Red Fisher.
And my guest, of course, is Boom Boom Geoffrion, the prosperous-looking boomer, the coach of the Quebec Aces, a one-time great with the Montreal Canadiens. And Boomer, we always ask our knowledgeable guests, as they all are, of course, what about that first period?
Well, Rob, let me tell you this. First of all, I was kind of surprised when I didn't see Dom in the net. That doesn't mean that I don't like Charlie, but after all, I thought Dom played very well against Toronto, and but I saw Dom after, and he told me that he got hurt in the warm-up. So that's why probably that toe put Charlie Hodge on the net. As far as I'm concerned, for the first period, Rob, I thought it was kind of a little wide-open game. As we sit up there, I think we can see better than people who are sitting in the box seat. I was surprised to see that the Chicago Blackhawks didn't have a shot in the net when they would They were 2-man advantage.
Well, one would think you were out there killing penalties, Boomer.
Pardon me, Ray?
One would think you were killing penalties. Don't say pardon me. You know exactly what I said.
No, I'm out of that, Red, right now. Well, at least, I never had a chance to kill a penalty, Red.
Boomer, let me ask you this. We were talking about the goalies. Does this put any extra pressure on the team when you suddenly discover that you have a new goalie in there? Of course, Charlie isn't exactly new, but they all thought that the Gumper would be in there, and now suddenly Charlie's playing.
Well, I don't think so, because as far as I'm concerned, Charlie Hodge is part of the team, and I can say that Charlie's as good as Gum, and Gum's as good as Charlie, so they're both in the National Hockey League. I don't see why they can affect any player. You're there to do your job, so it doesn't matter who's on the net.
Well, what I'm thinking about, Boomer, is that perhaps certain players get conditioned for a certain goalie. They play a certain way in front of a goalie. Of course, they're always playing their best, but you get it in your mind that, well, we've got Gump tonight now, suddenly Charlie.
Well, I can say this about certain guys get in shape. If, as far as I'm concerned, they're not in shape right now for Charlie, which I figure that Charlie play 3/4 of the season. I don't think that any guy should be ready for all those guys, especially Charlie should be ready for all those guys, and they're on the ice.
Boomer, how tough is it to play in Chicago Stadium? You didn't have too much luck in this stadium, did you?
Well, Red, you look at the record book, and I think that I had a pretty good career here in Chicago. The only town that I had a tough that was in Detroit, especially the first 5 years.
Detroit?
Detroit, that's right.
Well, why Detroit? The rink itself, Bernie?
Not the ring. Maybe I have that in my mind that every time Terry Sawchuk stopped me all the time, and I don't know if I had that in my head. I must have it, because the last 5 years I've been in Detroit, I scored quite a few goals there.
Bernie, I would think that Terry Sawchuk stopped you a few times, but you beat him quite a bit after that. We hope, of course, wish you the greatest success coaching in the years ahead, Boomer. We've been talking with Boom Boom Jeffrion, and now let's return to Frank Selke.
Thanks very much, Red, and Boom Boom. Now let's meet Bobby Fulford of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Bob, before we talk about this game, I was talking to Donnie Marshall earlier about his injured foot, and you had an injury which kept you out of the first game of the semifinal round against Montreal, and the rumor is that it hampered you all the way through. That was a groin injury. Just what happened?
Well, it was a groin injury, Frank. For practicing at the Gardens, or about a week before the playoffs started, we have end-to-end rushes, and I don't know exactly what happened. There was no one near me, and perhaps the ice slipped from underneath my skate. I went down and pulled the muscle on the inside of my leg. It did bother me possibly for the first 3 games, but after that I thought it was fairly good.
This is all part of the game, I suppose, Bob, that you've got to play these things out. I'm sure the Leafs missed you, though, and as the series went on, did you find that you were able to skate yourself out of it?
Yes, it was fairly good for the last 3 games. Physiotherapist Carl Eliot worked on me almost constantly, and it felt very good for the last 3 games.
Well, that's what they're doing to Gump Worsley now. They're working on him with that torn muscle in his thigh. Bobby, how about this hockey game tonight? Is it any different than the others, in your opinion?
No, I don't think basically it is. I think it's a little more exciting game. But like the other games, I think the penalties are the most important thing and will decide the game. I thought that Chicago had a great chance when Montreal were 2 men short. Kenny Warren had the puck in front of the net, and I think he was about halfway between taking a forehand shot and a backhand shot. He tried to bring the puck around to his forehand, and by that time Charlie Hodge had got back into position and was able to stop the shot. I feel that Montreal had some great opportunities when they were a man short to score a goal. Chicago seems to be taking the puck back and then trying to organize and holding it, and a couple of times this has almost backfired on them, and Montreal has had a couple of good scoring chances.
I don't know just where you're sitting, Bob. I'm watching the game down here on the monitor because I think you can see it better than a lot of people see it in the rink. But there were a couple of particularly good chances. One by Talbot. Just what happened on that particular one?
Yes, that was an excellent chance. I think J.C. Tremblay took the puck up the sides of the rink and held it for Talbot to get into position, and then made a very good play across, and Talbot hit the puck good, and I think he missed the corner with the shot, but if he had hit the net, I'm sure it would have been a goal.
These are the kind of things that we remember Bob Popert for, playoffs, those breakaway goals. You killed the Red Wings last year, Bob, and it seems that as a penalty killer, you wind up with 5 or 6 of these every year. Is there a secret to it?
Well, I think the secret is you have to be lucky, Frank.
There's more to it than that now.
But I think it is, especially in a playoff game, if you can score when the other team has a man advantage, it's a very demoralizing effect on the other team, and also gives your team a great lift. So it's if Montreal had have got one of those goals, I think possibly they would have got a great lift.
I was talking to Donnie before, Don Marshall, and asked him, without trying to put him on the spot, what he looked for from this point on in the game, which way he felt the game would go. Do you have a thought on that, Bob?
Well, I like to watch the players and see how they're going after loose pucks. And I think that Chicago are hustling very, very well out there. They are jumping on the loose pucks. They're very sharp, and it looks like it's going to be a very close game, but I possibly think that Chicago, from just this aspect of it, that they might have a little edge. They're at home here, and their crowd is giving them great support, which does help, and I think they have maybe a little advantage.
It certainly, I would say it helps in this rink, because I don't know of any crowd anywhere that gets behind the club more than they do here.
That is right. They're a very enthusiastic crowd. No matter what happens, if it's for their team, they really cheer.
Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't make much difference.
That is correct.
Bob, thanks for being with us. We're going to go down now toward Canal.
One of the great NHLers of all time, Doug Harvey. And Doug, we were just chatting with Gump. I wonder if you'd like to explain for our audience just exactly what Gump told us about the injury.
Well, basically, he's not hurt too badly. He just tore one of the ligaments in his leg by doing the splits in the warm-up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he'll be all right for the next game, though.
Mm-hmm. Just what do they do for a thing like that?
They have a system at the Forum. They will put a pressure bandage on it and ice. That's about the best you can do.
Mm-hmm. And then you get out skating and it's all right.
No, after a day or two they can put heat on it, and but it's tough to skate with a thing like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, Doug, one thing about that goal that was scored by Chicago tonight I wanted to ask you about. First of all, one of the goalers we had earlier in the semifinal said that they're sometimes the toughest, where they get it right off the faceoff.
Mm-hmm.
But what should have the defense have done on that play?
Well, basically, it's a small, it's a slip, all right. The centerman is supposed to look after the centerman, but he did jump away from Ralph Backstrom. Then your defenseman's got to cut right over and take the man out of there.
Mm-hmm.
They were a little bit slow in doing it.
He made a very fast move.
Yes, he sure did.
You've had many great memories in this rink, Doug. What are some of them?
Well, Ward, I've had a lot of good memories for sure, but I remember tonight here we had a small riot with Red Story.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that would stick in my mind a little bit. Against this same Chicago team, I had... this would be in Montreal, though. I guess, my biggest thrill. Be back about 4 seasons ago, and I gave the puck away to Red Hay, and he tied up the score in, I guess
regular time.
Yeah, in regular time. We went into overtime, and Henry Richard gave me a pass, and I was lucky enough to put it right up the top of the nets there, and I guess that's about my biggest thrill, all right.
When you're out here watching the defenseman tonight, Doug, what style of defenseman do you like to watch?
Well, actually, I was just saying to Donnie Marshall, I thought J.C. Trombley's playing as well as I've seen any defenseman. He's having a lot of fun with the puck. He's cradling it, playing around with it. I think I like to watch J.C. quite a bit.
Of course, you used to do a lot of that yourself, that nursing of it. Why? What's the great advantage of it?
You fool the other team sometime. You give it to them and take it back, and basically that's what JC's doing. He's bringing them on in, and then he's throwing it up. I think he's playing terrific hockey.
Gives a chance for the team to get a little bit more poised, eh?
Yes, well, the same with Pierre Pilote now. That's why he's back there, and he's got the Chicago team hopping, too.
Well, they're hopping out in the ice right behind us, as everyone can see back home. So, in just a moment, Danny Gallivan in the play-by-play of the second period in this game coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
You can spot it a mile away. The drive and energy to go all out to deliver top performance. The kind of performance you'll get with new all-out quality Esso gasolines. Quality raised to the highest standards in Imperial Oil history. New all-out quality for the new breed of action cars. New all-out quality for family cars. New all-out quality for greater satisfaction for every car in Canada. New anti-knock power in both Esso gasolines. Full thrust firing power for high compression engines in Esso Extra. New all-out quality matched to new standards set by Imperial Oil Research puts more performance in every gallon of Esso gasoline. Again, Imperial Oil is fulfilling its promise of more for you with new all-out quality Esso gasoline. Combined with Esso convenience, Esso service, and many other Esso extras, it all adds up to more quality, more value than ever before. At the sign of Happy Motoring, always look to Imperial for the best.
The Hawks won and the Habs no scores. We start the second period. Makita and Beliveau picking up minor penalties for roughing at the 20th minute mark in the first period. So they are now playing 5 aside. Richard dropping it back. J.C. Tremblay working out. Provo is up there. It's poke checked by Hull but recovered by Ted Harris to Richard. Now Mackey starting away for Chicago to Bobby Hull. Hull working in on the right side. A backhand shot right on. Hodge blocking J.C. Tremblay to Richard, who left it there for Provo. The pass hit Bobby Hull. Now J.C. Tremblay with Richard in over the Chicago line. A lead pass for Richard, and Jared, number 20, takes it for the Hawks. Hull around the net to the corner. It goes to Big Moose Vasco. He's leading the attack for Chicago to Hull. Hull winds up for the shot. And he has radar, that fellow with those long shots. He's always on the target. Now Provo on the right wing. Passes it to an empty and open left wing. Mackey behind the net having difficulty with Richard. Now here's Hull trying to get away from Provo and Ted Harris. The puck loose in the center ice area. Harris cleared it, and it's way high over the Canadiens players' bench on the far side. 37 seconds remaining in the penalties, and Charlie Hodge goes down to referee Vern Buffy, asks him for permission to go over to get a new stick. The only scoring play in the game at 2:57 in the first period, Stanfield, and in that first period, the Hawks outshot the Canadiens 11-8. Warm and Moans against Russo and Duff. It slides back into the Montreal zone. Now it's Duff, number 8, starting out. He cleared it in on the left wing boards to the other side. Hall trapping it. It goes to McNeil. Now Moans trying to get a pass away, and it's stopped by Duff. Duff fakes the shot, and he loses it there to Ravlich. Ravlich stopping. Played it to center to Moans. He lost it to Russo. McNeil in turn shoots it into the Canadian zone. Talbot working his way out a left wing pass to Duff over on the right side to Russo down to the Chicago line. Here's Russo going in, and he ran into his check McNeil. Now it's centered out in front to Talbot, the shot. And it went off McNeil wide. Beliveau and Makita are back on. Makita has it. He's in over the line with Kenny Warren, trying to pass it. And he was covered deeply there by Talbot. It came in from the net. Hodge to Duff. Duff cleared it into the center ice area. Al McNeil firing it back in over the Montreal line. Harper is back, and it is icing called against the Chicago Blackhawks. We've played 2 minutes and 26 seconds in this, the second period. The president of the National Hockey League, Clarence Campbell, was today discharged from hospital in Montreal, and I understand he's going to be back in his office tomorrow morning.
Well, if Talbot missed a goal while he was backing away in the first period, he saved one there. Makita was going in. He had Warren open. Somehow Talbot tied him up. Glenn Hall hasn't been that busy up in the Chicago end, but some of the shots have been of the real testing variety, and this veteran is having one of his great series.
Backstrom, Ferguson, and LaRose. The face-off right on the short side. Ravlich tied up on the board. See him, Backstrom, fight for it. Now LaRose sitting right out in front, and Ferguson was robbed there by Hall. LaRose put it right out, and Ferguson stick in front of the crease. Now LaRose is coming back for Montreal. Knocked off his stick. Ravlich failed to clear it. Stanfield jammed in on the boards and centered back to Ferguson again. He shoots it across the goal mouth. Hay out on the left side for Chicago. It goes to Stanfield, a drop pass. It's going to be a penalty here to the Montreal Canadiens. LaRose. Finally, LaRose comes over. And the place still buzzing a bit about that save by Hall and Ferguson. It's elbowing against LaRose, a 3-all-3 in the second period. Esposito, Camille Henry, Mackey, Pierre Pilote, and no trouble picking up the other fellow, Bobby Hull. Now it comes over on the other side on the right wing to Pierre Pilote. In on the boards it goes. Henry centered it right out in front. Esposito was upended by Roberts. Roberts has it on the boards, and he shoots it down to the Chicago line. Pierre Pilote, a rink-wide pass to Henry. Talbot up front with Roberts on the French, Ted Harris, and J.C. Tremblay. A drop pass goes to Pierre Pilote, up to Esposito. Stopped there by Roberts. Here's Roberts going in, and he couldn't get by Hull. Henry, a pass over to Esposito. Esposito is over the line. A backhand shot, a weak one, blocked by Hodge. In on the boards, here's Henry, trying to center it. Back it comes near the point. Pierre Pilote in off the boards. J.C. Tremblay has it for the Canadiens. Around the net. Cleared it out to Talbot. Talbot shoots it off the left wing boards and back for it for Chicago. Pierre Pilote. And the Hawks have had difficulty with their power play tonight. Roberts and Talbot particularly have been strong. There's a shot by Mackey that was just wide and high off Hodge. Now it's Ted Harris shooting it on the boards. The Hawks keeping it in. Esposito and J.C. Tremblay in on the boards. Mackey poking away at it. Talbot, number 17, moved in. And there'll be a change for the Chicago Blackhawks. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty, and Billy Ray is going to see what the scooter line can do on the power play. He has Makita, Mones, and Warren. Leaves Hull out there off the line with Pierre Pilote. Back it goes to Pierre Pilote, working in on the boards. He drops it back. Here's Stan Makita taking the shot, and he was just wide by a whisker. Bobby Hull shoots it back in. Kenny Warren over on this side to the other side. Doug Mones trying to get it back. He lost it to Roberts. Ahead, J.C. Tremblay coming up with Talbot. Here's J.C. Tremblay going in back to Talbot. He shoots. And on the rebound, Roberts missed the far side. Here's Doug Mones. There's going to be penalties, I think, down here after they stop the play. Warren and Talbot. A penalty was going to be called, I think, on Talbot. And they're having difficulty disentangling two 17s, Talbot and Warren. And Talbot, for the second consecutive time in this game with the Canadiens short-handed, he was set up, had no one to beat but Glenn Hall. But on both occasions, he missed the target. Number 17, Warren. Linesman Jean D'Amico, 24, staying close to Talbot. And we're nearing the 5th-minute mark in the second period.
Well, they're just calling for somebody there. The original infraction was on Talbot. And he goes to the penalty box to be joined there now by Kenny Warham. Warham, who had 2 bad knees that kept him out of action for quite a while, has come back and has taken some heavy going. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
Jean-Guy Talbot gets a double minor for charging and roughing, and Kenny Warham of Chicago a 2-minute penalty for roughing. And in the penalty box, still for the Montreal Canadiens, Claude LaRose, number 11. He has 7 seconds left in his penalty. Although that ruckus broke out down in Chicago territory, the play was actually stopped down in Montreal zone, so that's where they're going to face off. So the Hawks, for 7 seconds, will have the advantage. And they lead in the hockey game 1-0. Hay, number 11, with Nestorenko. Roberts still on for Montreal. J.C. Tremblay picks it up. Back near the corner. Played it on the right side of Roberts. Roberts coming down. LaRose is back on. Now Roberts is in over the Chicago line. Goes to the corner. A backhand shot. And he hits the side of the net. LaRose trying to dig it right in front. He does. Paul stopped him, and it was cleared by Jarrett. Now it's Hay. Ahead on the right side to Nestorenko. He's in over the line, and he lost it to LaRose. Ted Harris starting back for Montreal. Ahead to Roberts. Roberts has been all over the ice. He goes in on the left side, and Ravlich takes over for the Chicago Blackhawks. Now it's Ravlich to the Montreal line. In with Nestorenko, a pass to Nestorenko. Nestorenko centers it back, and Hay missed it, and it goes back down the ice. We have played now 5 minutes and 55 seconds in the second period. In behind the Chicago net, it's Backstrom trying to get it away from Jarrett. Now Hay moves in there for Chicago. Backstrom staying with him. Nestorenko. Nestorenko couldn't get by J.C. Tremblay. He feeds the left wing pass to Backstrom. He's bumping there with Ravlich. There's going to be a penalty. Ravlich. Could be high sticking. In the process of setting up Backstrom. .6:12 in the middle period. Ravlich. High sticking. Warham and Talbot still off. 44 seconds remaining in the penalty to Warham, and of course 2:44 in the penalty time to Talbot. Baliveau and Duff for the Canadiens. They have the odd man advantage. Makita on with Vasco and Pierre Pilote. 1-0 for Chicago. Here's Dick Duff going in on the left side. He shoots it around the net. Russo over on this side of J.C. Tremblay. He shoots it. It's deflected. He scores! Baliveau from J.C. Tremblay and Duff, the replay. John Baliveau gets the Canadiens' 15th power play. .629, Duff and Tremblay the assists, and the Canadiens have been utilizing the power play alignment with awesome authority in the playoffs this year. 4 power play goals in this series, 11 in the series against Toronto. Scored tied 1-1. And back on the ice, Ravlich. Now Bobby Hull coming out. And Hull, who in the series against Detroit in 7 games had 8 goals, has not been able to get a goal so far in this final series. Now then, Bosco from his own line. He's working down to the Canadiens line. Over he goes toward the corner, getting set to center it. It comes right out in front. And Makita just failed to find the target. Here's Provo. Ahead of Richard. Richard winds up for the shot, and it was away wide. Makita taking over for Chicago. Back to Bobby Hull. Hull with Provo closing in. Now Worm is back on. Talbot still in the penalty box. Now Makita with the Hawks, the odd man advantage. A drop pass goes to Bobby Hull. Hull getting set, a shot. It's in the crease. And Hodge is down with Makita and Worm, who went sprawling right on his doorstep, looking for a rebound on that sharp angle backhand shot by Bobby Hull.
You know, they call Bobby Hull the Golden Jet, but on that one he looked like the big golden cat. He moved just cat-like by Provo and in to grab that loose puck and get that great shot away. And he feels if he can shake Provo, then he can get some points. And they made no bones about that up at the training camp in Rockton. They have to solve Provo to get Bobby Hull moving.
Makita, Mones, Worm, Pierre Pilote, and Bobby Hull score tied 1-1 in the second period. Harper had skated out of position, so had Worm, so they're going to do it all over again. And 7 minutes and 9 seconds have gone by in the second period. Back it goes to Pierre Pilote. Over the other side to Bobby Hull. Hull getting set. And that one hit Harper. There's a shot. Oh, a deflection by Mones over the top of the net. Here's Kenny Worm going in behind the net. It comes on this side. Roberts got away from Worm, lost it. Pierre Pilote has it at the point. Gives it to Worm. Back to Pierre Pilote. Here's Pierre Pilote putting it right on J.C. Tremblay's stick. Provo shooting it off the right wing boards. And down the ice it goes. It was Harper who stopped that blistering Hull shot. Now the Hawks starting out. Pierre Pilote ahead to Kenny Worm. He's in on the line with Mones. A pass in front to Mones. The open net. Now Kenny Worm trying to center it. In on the boards. It goes flying over the glass. Charlie Hodge went over to one side. The puck came across the crease. And practically the whole net was open, but no one could get it. 56 seconds now remain in the penalty to Talbot. The ice seems to be standing up much better tonight than it did on Thursday night, and of course that is attributable to the fact that the atmospheric conditions outside are a bit more conducive to hockey weather tonight, with the temperature in the low 40s. Hull over on this side of Pierre Pilote. He romps over the line. He feeds it right in front. There's a pass by Esposito, picked up by Harris. Now Hull has it. Here it goes to Henry coming from the side. He tried to center it, a backhand shot, and it was jammed on the side. The Hawks again, Pierre Pilote trying to center it, and it's cleared out by Provo. Camille Henry was showing some of his great dipsy-doodling stuff to work from near the corner and got on the short side, but he was blocked there by Hodge. Here come the Hawks again. Talbot is getting set to come back on. Hull, a pass goes to Pierre Pilote. He's over the line. Pilote going near the corner, trying to center it. Now it comes back. There's going to be a penalty here. It's centered right out in front. And Ted Harris has it. Ted Harris. And Roberts. Had gone in there to cover up. And Harris comes off. And Talbot Talbot, who has been standing up for the past 40 seconds, in the penalty box, now has 8 seconds remaining, and he wants to check with the official penalty timekeeper. And so Talbot calls the referee Buffy over. They look up at the clock, and according to the main clock and the time that we have recorded for the penalty, there should be 8 seconds remaining. So for the second time tonight, Canadians are down 2 players to the Hawks. We have Esposito, Mackey, Henry, Pierre Palat, and Hay. Beliveau came on the ice just as they were ready to resume play. And of course, Big Beliveau, the captain, came out with a message from Toe Blake. And Buffy is putting the watch on the Canadians, and Toe Blake warning them. Beliveau is back on the bench. Chicago, every man up for the face-off, and Roberts is being waved out of there, and in comes J.C. Tremblay to face off against Esposito. The face-off, it goes to Hodge. He cleared it back to the point. Here's Hay. Hay over on this side of Pierre Palat. Palat taking the shot, the rebound. It's clear to the side, and Tremblay tucked it in on the boards with his skates, and Talbot skates back out of the penalty box. And as Doug Harvey was saying, J.C. Tremblay has great puck sense and controls the puck beautifully. And of course, this could be due in large measure to the fact that until his final year of junior hockey, he was a forward. And there you see one of the banners, Go Hawks. And the place is not festooned with banners in the fashion of some 4 or 5 years ago. Ed Harris in the penalty box. We played just over 8 minutes on the face-off. Back it comes to Pierre Palat. He played it in on the boards to Mackey. He lost it there to Talbot, and Talbot shoots it down the ice. Score tied 1-1. 9 minutes and 15 seconds have gone by in the second period. Red Hay ahead to Pierre Palat. Palat leading a 4-man attack. On the right side, it goes to Esposito. Esposito has it on the boards, jammed out of the play by Roberts, and it's Talbot wheeling away. Comes over on the left side. At center to the Chicago line. Talbot still has it. And he's been a tremendous figure for the Canadiens tonight. Talbot. Here's Hay going in over the line with Mackey. Hay dropping it back. It comes right in front of the net. And a loose puck still. And it's J.C. Tremblay starting away with Roberts to the Chicago line. Tremblay fakes the shot. Takes it back to the point. Now he cleared it in. Into the corner goes Hay. Hay, a pass to Esposito. 40 seconds remaining in the penalty to Ted Harris. Here's Henry. Over on this side to Pierre Palat. Palat shooting it in. He was bodied by Roberts. Tremblay gets it and shoots it off the boards down the ice, and the Hawks are changing on the move. Now Henry and Harper got sticks up at each other, but the referee didn't see that. Now Hay, out of his own zone, coming up with Moans. A long right wing pass, knocked down and out over the line by Tremblay. Ravlich gives it to Makita. Makita to Warm, up on the right side. Ravlich is over the line, trying to center it. Talbot picked it off Tremblay, and Talbot shoots it down the ice. Harris stepping back on, so it is icing. Called against the Montreal Canadiens. We played 10 minutes and 56 seconds in the second period. Score tied 1-1. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
Clean up paint with Varsol. Available at your Esso dealers, hardware, or supermarket.
Face off to the left of Charlie Hodge, and again the Hawks have every man up. Back it goes to Ravlich. Ravlich shoots it. It hit Beliveau, who then gets it And he played it off the boards back into Chicago territory. Al McNeil. Russo's after him. Russo takes it, gets it back to Duff. The shot is wide. The puck comes again. A backhand shot on the short side by Duff. And Glenn Hall came up with a big save. And there's the puck right on the goal line against the post to the left of Glenn Hall. We mentioned on a previous telecast that there had been rumors making the rounds that Glenn Hall is seriously considering retiring and quitting the game after the playoffs. Well, the way he's been playing, I'd imagine Coach Billy Ray will tell him to think it over again. Now the Hawks are starting out. Nestorenko has it. He's over the line with Hay. A pass back. Here's Hay going in. A goal! A shot! And on the short side, it was missed by Stanfield. Into the corner. Nestorenko trying to get it. Hay goes in to help out number 11, number 19. It's centered now by Nestorenko. 19 was Harper. And it's Backstrom playing it on the boards. Hay got away from LaRose's check. Takes the shot around the net. And it's Ferguson from Montreal coming out with LaRose, who takes the right wing pass out over the line. He's blocked there. Ferguson follows up on the left side. Now Nestorenko started away, but a whistle had sounded for an offside against the Canadiens at the Chicago line.
Well, Eric Nestorenko, you know, is a 13-year veteran in the National Hockey League. He's been 9 with the Hawks, 4 previous with Toronto, and he's still only 31.
Very scholarly gentleman, Nestorenko, too. He reads nothing they tell us but philosophy books. Now the Hawks clear it out. Talbot, a long right wing pass. LaRose couldn't take it in with him. Stanfield left it for Nestorenko, who tipped it up on the right wing. Ferguson clearing it. Here's Ravlich. Ahead to Stanfield. Stanfield breaking in over the line. Now a loose puck. Here's Hay trying to get a shot back to Ravlich. There's a shot, and a booming shot wide. Hay trying to center it. Talbot played it over on the boards on this side. Ravlich keeping it in for Chicago. Here's Nestorenko trying to work his way off the boards. Back it comes. Ravlich cleared it. It's tipped up by LaRose. Hall is now on the ice for Chicago as the Hawks clear it in. And the Hawks are making more changes on the fly. Nearing the 13th minute mark in the second period, Chicago. Esposito has it. He's trying to center it. Nestorenko has it behind the net on the boards. Now Harper moves in there and covers up for the Montreal Canadiens. Nestorenko and Esposito letting him move. Now Nestorenko got it out. And it's Talbot ahead on the right side. LaRose coming in, a pass to Backstrom. He centered it. And there was no one there to get it. Bobby Hull trying to get away from Ferguson. Ted Harris cleared it toward the corner. And Ravlich takes over for the Chicago Blackhawks. Pass on the left side. Jarrett working his way out. Back to Bobby Hull. Tremblay failed to clear it out. Now there's a shot right on by Mackey. And Hodge had to come up with a big save. Berenson coming down with Provo. Berenson going in. The shot, the rebound. And Pierre Pilote is there to take over. He lost it to Provo. A centering pass. And the Chicago Blackhawks, Jarrett. Ahead it goes. Over the line to Esposito. Now back to Bobby Hull. He couldn't control it. On the left wing, Ed Harris. Played it down to center. Richard trying to get that rolling puck. Goes to Berenson. To Provo. He scooped it in off the boards, and Hall cleared it to Vasco. He lost it to Richard, who centered it. Pilote to Esposito, ahead to Mackey. Down with Bobby Hull. Over the line. Now it's back to Esposito. J.C. Tremblay clearing it on the left side. Berenson is coming down. Overskated it. Richard brings it in on the wing. His pass goes to Pierre Pilote. It rolls to the Canadiens line. As we near the 15th minute mark in the period, score tied 1-1. Berenson coming down with Richard. Berenson at the line. There's going to be a penalty here to Chicago. Vasco going off for holding likely on Berenson.
Well, the Canadiens have had many more penalties tonight than the Hawks. And they did get their goal while the Hawks effectively were a man short. Now they'll have a chance again. Holding is the call, and Big Moose Vasco has played a tremendous amount of hockey for Chicago. He seems to stop at least one blistering shot on the skate in each game, limps a bit, and then shakes it off and comes back to play again.
Andy Galley and Toe Blake behind the Canadiens players bench. Face off to the right of Glenn Hall, and the Canadiens power play this time. Cornwallier, Beliveau, Duff, Talbot, and Russo. Hay and Nestorenko are up front for Chicago. In the face-off, Hay has it. Fades over on the left wing, shoots it down off Russo's glove into the Canadian zone, and Talbot is back after it. Talbot coming out with Beliveau, Duff, Russo, and Cornwallier, and Hay cleared it back in. Now then, Talbot is going to try it. A lead pass to Duff. Duff got by Nestorenko. Beliveau with Russo. Russo going to the Chicago line. Shoots it in on the wing, and McNeil failed to clear it out the first time. On the boards, McNeil and Russo fight for possession. Hay comes in there, and Hay goes down. And there's Al Melgard at the organ. And that's the first time tonight that he has got away from the script. Beliveau getting set to face off against Nestorenko. It goes to Duff. Duff shoots it around the Chicago net. It's Hay on the left wing, failing to clear it out. Russo winds up for the shot, the rebound. There's another shot by Cornwallier, and he was robbed by Glenn Hall. Here's Nestorenko coming back, deflects Hay's pass into the corner. And what a save that was on Cornwallier by Hall. Now Beliveau coming up, goes to center to the Chicago line. Russo dropping it back, and McNeil backhands it down into Montreal territory. And it's Talbot back there for the Canadiens. 45 seconds remaining in the penalty. Talbot shoots it to the line. McNeil got it out. Now Russo back to Talbot. 35 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Cornwallier trying to work his way in. Moans shoots it off the boards down the ice. The score is tied 1-1 here in the second period. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Canadiens changing on the move. J.C. Tremblay coming out now with Richard, Provo, Duff, and Russo. Offside at the Chicago line.
And this time the Hawks penalty killing set pretty effective. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago. A few changes, so are Canadians. Dave Ballone is on again.
15 seconds remaining in the penalty to Vasco. Ballone cleared it in. Richard against McNeil, and McNeil lobs it high, up among the lights, down it comes. J.C. Tremblay back there, a right wing pass goes to Provo. The penalty has expired. Score tied 1-1. Ravlich to McNeil. McNeil at the Hawk line on the left wing. He comes to center, winds up for the shot. It comes on the boards over on this side. Ballone ahead. Richard couldn't reach it, and Makita is on for Chicago to Kenny Warham. He stopped by Dave Ballone, who ran into Provo. Richard with Ballone. Ballone played it on the open wing. And Makita to Kenny Warham. Warham to Moans, going up on the left side over the line. Warham was streaking in, but the pass didn't come over. Now here's Richard going in, the shot, the rebound, and Ballone was upended, went in on the boards, and he almost got a good shot there. It's Makita ahead to Vasco on the left side. Moans going up. Richard chopped it out over the line. Vasco. A loose puck to Richard. Here's Richard turning it into the corner, And Pierre Pilote goes in there to cover up for Chicago. 2 minutes remaining in the second period. Makita, a lead pass intended for Warren. Dave Ballone from the Montreal line going down on the right wing. He's stopped there by Makita. Makita over to Bobby Hull. Hull getting set. Tried to work in by Ted Harris. There's going to be a penalty here. They center it out. A penalty against Montreal. There's a shot. Here's Vasco winding up for the shot. The rebound. And it hit Vasco. They shoot it again. It was in the net, but the whistle had gone. So Ted Harris is going off. It'll likely be holding in his attempt to completely tie up Hull. .25 in the second period. Ted Harris of Montreal for holding. It's going to be Melnick, who has been used sparingly tonight, number 12. He's out. Mackey, Bobby Hull, Pierre Pilote, and Henry. J.C. Tremblay in the corner for Montreal. Gets it up to Roberts, having difficulty against Henry and Melnick. And the face-off will be to the right of Charlie Hawes. Pilote getting a new stick. Melnick facing off against Roberts. And the face-off into the corner. It's Henry. Henry played it on the boards over on this side. Mackey is catching up with it. He tries to center it. Off the boards. Hull has it. A backhand shot around the Montreal net. Mackey is trying to center it. Tremblay covering up number 3. Mackey bumped by a Harper. And that got a rise from the crowd seated in that area just behind the Canadiens' net. Chicago won, Montreal won. Hawks every man up, and Harper has it on the right wing boards. Clearing it out, now Talbot is coming down. Roberts up on the play, Talbot over the line, takes the shot. And Pierre Pilote cleared it out to Henry. Henry with Pilote and Melnick, they're in over the line. It's Henry. He centered it, and Pilote just failed to get it. Here's Bobby Hull taking a shot. And the rebound off a player is cleared to the line. Tremblay to Roberts, who shoots it down. Pierre Pilote. We have 35 seconds remaining. Pilote shooting it into the corner. Tremblay is in there. Mackey is after him. It's on the boards. Henry trying to get possession. It's held by J.C. Tremblay, and it came loose just as the whistle sounded. And if Chicago does not score, then Ted Harris will have 25 seconds to serve in his penalty in the third period. Right now, we have 28 seconds left in the second. Ravlich coming on the point with Makita. Hull goes off. The face-off. Here's Hay over on this side. Makita catching up with it. He takes the shot. Knocked down by Tremblay to Talbot, and he scooped it down the ice. Back for it goes Ravlich. Hawks have time for one more rush. There are 11 seconds remaining now. Ravlich ahead to Makita. Makita's over the line, playing it in there. And Tremblay again gets it and shoots it down the ice. 2 seconds remaining, and the period is over. And so the score at the end of the second period, Montreal Canadiens 1, Chicago Blackhawks 1. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
Here's Murray Westgate with important news from Imperial Oil.
Tonight, we have another winner in the Big Esso All-Out Quality Celebration. The panel of judges has made its decision, and in exactly 52 seconds, we'll have the winner's name. The winner of a Corsa, top-of-the-line Corvair with rear-engine drive. This model has the 4-speed stick-shift, padded dash, 2-speed windshield wipers, deluxe seatbelts. And that's not all. This exciting car will be delivered personally by a famous NHL star. You too can win a 65 Corsa, Mustang, or Barracuda. Pick up your entry form now from your Imperial Esso dealer. Just complete the last line of this jingle.
Starting with a happy motoring time, get Esso quality every time. Look to Imperial for the best. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Mail your entry to the address on the form. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The winner of the new 65 Corsa is Mrs. Ruth Corliss, 189 Simeon Street, Kitchener, Ontario. And you can win a 65 Corsa, Mustang, or Barracuda. There's one given away by Imperial Oil on every playoff game. Watch out for the next winner. It could be you. And always look to Imperial for the best.
Frank Selke with Don Marshall once again. And Don, you said it was going to be tight, and it's even tighter than that.
It is, Frank. There are quite a few penalties out there, and some of the players will be pretty fresh for the first period, and some will be quite tired.
We were just talking about that a few minutes ago. Of course, both clubs have had penalties. It seems Canadiens have had a few more. And J.C. Trombley, Jimmy Roberts, and Talbot, and the boys that have been killing them, how is it going to affect them in this third period?
Well, they should be a little more tired than the other players, but possibly the fresher ones can pick up the slack. I've been very impressed with the penalty killing of Montreal. They've done a fine job. And then in turn, when they had the man advantage, they put the puck in the net. I think penalties have played a big part in their game.
Donnie, this goes back to the years when you were with Montreal. A great defensive team and a high-scoring team. It isn't quite the powerhouse that it was in those days, but in the playoffs, they have been holding the other club off and then scoring when they get the chance.
Well, I think it's very important in playoffs to score on your power plays and kill off your penalties. I think you can win the Stanley Cup with just those two factors.
Donnie, you're going to have to pick some stars. Now, there have been quite a few standout performances out there tonight. Who are some that you're thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking of Jim Roberts with his penalty killing right now, and also J.C. Tremblay. I'm sitting with Doug Harvey, and actually the way he's handling the puck, it reminds me somewhat of Doug of a few years back, when he was just getting the puck, drawing the players in and dumping it out and breaking the Montreal team out of the end zone, and J.C. is doing the same thing.
Seems to have all the confidence in the world out there.
Oh, he's playing tremendous hockey for them. Freddie Stanfield, I thought, looked good in the first period, but he hasn't played a great deal in the second period. Glenn Hall has made some good stops when he had two Kernway was right in on top of him, and I think Yvonne more or less shot it right at him. And just before that, he made a great save on Dick Duck.
So it's been pretty exciting both ends of the ring.
It has. In a way, I'm glad to be sitting in the stands, but yet I'd still like to be up there.
Don, there's a chap sitting over here on my left who is one of the walking wounded as you are, Gump Worsley. Let's see, Gump, just what happened out there tonight?
Well, it was during the warm-up, Frank. Backstrom came in and he shot the puck low, and I tried to do the split more or less, and I tore the thigh myself.
That's pretty painful?
It is right now. It's a burning sensation that goes through it all the time, and I have to wait till I get back to Montreal before I find out how long I'll be out.
I have a feeling, Gump, you're a little bit disappointed the way this has worked out. You wanted to play this hockey game.
Yes, I did, Frank. You know, after you lose, you sure like to get back in, and I was told I was playing more or less the rest of the series. And you don't like to get hurt at any time, of course, but big disappointment with me because it's my first time in the finals.
Gump, do you have any idea how long you might be out? Have the doctors been able to tell you so far just how it looks?
No, they just taped it all up and put pressure bandage on, and they're going to look at it thoroughly tomorrow afternoon when we get back to Montreal, and then they'll probably tell me how long I'll be out.
You heard what Donnie said, that he'd much rather be out there playing than sitting here on TV, and I'm sure you feel pretty much the same way. You've been sitting down the hall here with us watching the game. What's your reaction to it?
Well, Frank, you always want to go and do you're watching the game. You say you're trying to go out and you want to do the things, and you can't, and you're nervous about it because every time someone makes a mistake, you want to jump out there and try and help them. And when you're out there playing, you burn off your energy. Here you're watching them, and you're all tensed up.
It's kind of hard to take.
Yes, it is, believe me.
An exciting hockey game, though, Gump, and I'm sure the fans are really going to enjoy this third period. And I'm sure that you and Donnie will, too. And, Don, you'll come back. Give us about, say, 5 minutes before the end of the period so we can talk about Stars. Thank you very much. Now let's go to Red Fisher.
And my guest is Ed Fitkin of the Toronto Hockey Crew. And Eddie, this is a bit of a change for you. Normally, you're on the other end of the mic, so to speak. You're asking all the questions. But we're going to ask you this, Ed, and before you answer it, I should mention that Don Marshall was dealing at great length with the great work the Canadiens penalty-killing team has been doing. But what else about this game have you noticed, Eddie?
Well, the thing that struck me, Red, is the fact that Canadians are coming on just like they did against the Leafs in the sixth game of the series in Toronto. They were quite well outplayed in the first part of the game, but they've done a tremendous job, as Don probably pointed out, in penalty killing, and they've had 10 penalties to Chicago's 6. And it used to be an axiom of the half-day regime of the Maple Leafs and Conn Smythe that when the Maple Leafs were getting penalties, they were playing winning hockey, and this may be the case tonight.
Eddie, if the Canadians have one concern, I would think, it would be this, that perhaps people like Jean-Guy Talbot, who kills penalties and also plays the regular spot on defense, might be getting just a little bit tired by now.
Well, if he is, there are a lot of others out there getting tired, too, because this is one tremendous hockey game, and it's a real playoff battle. I think it's probably the best of the series, a real hard-hitting game, and tremendous chances that I think that Canadians in particular have missed by missing open nets. You know, their shots have been off. And Chicago have been playing extremely well in the early part of the game, and they have come on pretty well, the Canadians now.
Eddie, we've been hearing a great deal since the end of the semifinal series about the great number of changes that are going to come up in Toronto next year. Does Ed Fitkin think there'll be a great many changes?
No, Red, I really don't. I hear a lot of talk about wholesale changes and revampings of the team, but I don't think they want to commit suicide in Toronto yet. I think that there will be several changes, but this wholesale business would put them back in the ruck, sort of to speak. You can only bring in so many young players. They brought in Ron Norris this year. Stemkowski was sort of a bonus.
Yeah.
Now, if they bring in, they've got 3 really good top prospects in Mike Walton, Andre Champagne, and this other young fellow from, I can't think of his name.
Eddie.
Fritz Selby.
Yeah,
and they've got to work a couple of those in, perhaps.
Eddie, we're going to let you do just a little bit of work for Punch Imlock. Now, you mentioned a few of the rookies, possible prospects for next season. What about the elderly gentlemen who are going to be dropped?
Well, this is going to be very interesting, and I think at the June draft meeting, several of them will not be protected. If they are not grabbed, if Red Kelly comes back, Mr. Imlach has a lot of problems, and they are his problems, but I'm quite sure that this gentleman, who has been always very lucky in hockey, will solve them. He has Rochester to think about. He has some fringe hockey players sitting on the bench. So I don't think, all in all, and I think next year I'll make this prediction. It'll be a 16 race. Okay?
Eddie, thank you very much. I'm sure Punch was listening closely, I hope. We've been talking with Ed Fitkin of Toronto, and we'll continue with the remainder of our intermission in just one moment.
The first half of tonight's telecast has been brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited and Esso dealers, agents, and distributors serving your community.
The second half of tonight's Stanley Cup playoff is brought to you by Molson's, independent brewers since 1786. Brewers of Molson Canadian Lager Beer and Molson Export Ale.
And now for Molson Canadian, the exciting Canadian entertainer, Peter Appleyard. Enjoy bright, clear Molson Canadian. It's the friendly lager from Molson's, independent brewers since 1786.
Very pleased to have with us now the president of the Montreal Canadian Hockey Club, J. David Molson. And Mr. Molson, how are you bearing up under the pressure of a 1-1 hockey game?
Well, it's quite a hockey game, Ward, and I just don't know what more I can say at this moment. All the TV.
Do you sit and watch, or do you walk around, or what?
No, I sit and watch it. I'm one of those people that can't take my eyes off it. I know Stafford Smythe and others get up and walk around, but I have to stay right there.
Well, now let's talk about your first year as president of the club. How would you evaluate it in terms of the pleasant achievements of the year and disappointments, if there were any?
Well, as to achievements, Ward, there's no doubt about it that being right here in the finals of the Stanley Cup, I think, is an achievement in terms of the team as a whole. And certainly, I think this year's team, I don't think one can compare it as a great hockey team with some of the other Canadian teams of the past, but sheer determination and spirit and hard work, I think, has brought this team where they are. And I think if they can keep it up, we have a very good chance.
Were there any disappointments to the year?
I think I'd have to say certainly injuries to perhaps what could have been the best left winger in the league, Jules Tremblay. He was certainly a leading left winger when he got hurt. And laterally, of course, Jacques Laperriere, who is an all-star defenseman. So those were two big disappointments.
Mr. Molson, most hockey fans are very interested, of course, in the stories they hear about on radio and television about television. And recently there was a story that there might a game go in the United States. Would this at all affect Saturday night hockey?
This is difficult to answer at this point, Ward. We would have to, I know there are a number of networks who are interested in hockey on a national television basis next year. But this is something which the NHL Television Committee has been working on for some time. And naturally, we'd be very pleased to see it. I think hockey in the United States has a tremendous potential. And certainly in terms of youngsters playing the game today, I think that it's not far off when we'll see a good many United States or American boys playing in the National Hockey League. And certainly television would help this.
There have been some stories about the possibility of TV in Europe, too.
Yes, this is so, although I rather feel that we're perhaps putting the horse before the cart here. I think that there seems to be some reluctance on the part of the Europeans generally to accept professional hockey as a legitimate sport, and they do so in soccer, football, or perhaps any other sport. But I feel that somehow the people who are officially connected with hockey in Europe have to form an association with us whereby they are going to be behind hockey 100%.
You said that very nicely about rapport with Mr. O'Hare.
Thank you.
And when can we expect from the NHL a decision on the appointment of a referee-in-chief?
I would think that the governors will announce this at the meetings in June, Ward. There are 2 or 3 candidates at the moment, and we certainly hope to have someone by June.
And also in terms of the deputy assistant, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I think both these appointments would perhaps be announced simultaneously.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Molson, for chatting with us, and now it's over to Frank Selke, Jr.
Thanks very much, Ward. Our next guest is certainly no stranger to hockey fans, Ab McDonald of the Bruins. And, Ab, you're not much of a stranger around the Chicago Stadium. You patrolled left wing very effectively here a couple of years.
Well, I guess it's back to the old stamping grounds, Frank. I'd like to be out in the ice this year with the Boston Bruins. It'd be a pleasure to come back and play against the Blackhawks in the finals, but unfortunately, we might have to wait another year.
Well, it's the happy thing about baseball and football and all these games, Ab, there's always another year. Now, the Bruins season finished up about a month ago, and we find you down here in Chicago. What is the occasion?
Well, we stopped back for my cousin's wedding down here, and thought we'd take in a couple of games and have a little vacation, a little rest.
There's no truth to the fact, the rumor, rather, that you left Winnipeg and came down here to get away from the flood.
Let's hope it doesn't reach there. I think if it does, we'll have to get back there and then leave.
The latest news from Winnipeg is that the flood looks as though it won't be too serious this year.
Well, thank God it won't be, and we'll be very pleased if it isn't.
Ab, how about the hockey game? You've seen 2 periods of it, and as I mentioned before, you're used to being in this rink, and you certainly can watch games well. What's your reaction to it?
Well, Frank, I have never seen the Montreal Canadian team hit as hard as they have tonight, and they're getting a number of penalties, but they've had some effective penalty killing by Talbot and Roberts, and I think J.C. Tremblay is playing very well out there, and they're getting away with the odd penalty that might hurt them.
Donnie Marshall was saying earlier that the way Tremblay is playing now reminds him to a certain extent of the way Doug Harvey used to handle the puck for Montreal. And you played with Doug. Would you say that there is a similarity?
Yes, J.C. is carrying that puck out of his end very well and playing heads-up hockey. And at certain times he seems to control the game, and he's making a very fine pass and play up to the forwards breaking out of their own end.
Let's go over to the Hawks side of the ice now, where we have Bobby Hull, who doesn't have a goal in this series so far, and doesn't appear to be playing as effectively as he did against Detroit. What's the answer, in your opinion?
Well, I know what Todd Provo is like as far as playing against him and having him check, and he does a great job at any time.
So you figure it's Claude that's doing the job on him?
I would have to say that's quite a bit of the reason.
Okay, Ab, thanks very much. We've been chatting with Ad McDonald, and in just a moment, Danny Gallivan and the third period of this Montreal-Chicago game from the Chicago Stadium.
And now for Molson Canadian. Here are Canadian folk singers Ian and Sylvia.
Molson Canadian, no lager beer that's bright and clear. Molson Canadian, it drinks for food any time of year. Molson Canadian, it's brewed by men who know their beer. Molson Canadian, lager beer, it drinks so smooth, it looks so clear. Just right for folks who really know their beer. If you know lager, you'll agree that it gets a lifting from the standing quality. Molson Canadian, it's friendly, sparkle, grease the eye. Molson Canadian, it's lively, taste really rich to try. Next time you got a thirst for a lager, bright and clear, drink Molson Canadian lager beer.
Enjoy bright, clear Molson Canadian. It's a friendly lager from Molson, independent brewer since 1786.
Danny Gallivan and Keith Dancy from the broadcast booth on the east side at the Chicago Stadium, with the teams lining up now for the start of the third period and the score tied 1-1. Ed Harris has 25 seconds remaining in his penalty, and the Hawks send out Makita, Doug Mones, and Kenny Worm against Talbot and Roberts up front for Montreal. And they also have Provo and Richard out, and Harper and J.C. Tremblay, so Joe Blake will have to make some changes there to get the exact complement out. Provo and Richard go out. Bobby Hull, the extra forward for Chicago. Pierre Pilote on the other point. Tremblay shoots it to the Chicago line, and the play is on. Hull, a rink-wide pass goes to Pierre Pilote. He played it to the Canadiens line, and Tremblay shoots it down the ice. Back forward goes Hull. Hull from the corner to the other side to Pilote. Pilote leading a four-man Chicago attack. Working his way to center to Hull. Hull winds up for the shot. He scores! Let's have the replay. Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull with that patented long shot, getting the Hawks in front 2-1, and a happy Hawk bench led by Coach Billy Ray. And that's for Bobby Hull. His first goal in this series, a total of 9. And his point total now is 16. And he is only 5 points behind the record of 21 for playoffs established in 1961 by Stan Mikita. Seconds, and of course Ted Harris had just stepped out of the penalty box. He had not been in the play. Bobby Hull, Pierre Pilote getting the assist, and Chicago leading 2-1, and there's a very nervous hockey fan as the scrapers go to work on the ice here at the Chicago Stadium. And that gives us an opportunity to tell you, particularly the people in the Sudbury area, that the Kinsman Club of Sudbury will hold their 6th annual Sports Celebrity Dinner on May the 13th at the Legion Hall. The guests will include Peter Kennedy, Bill Beck, Ruby Goldstein, and NHL stars from the North. Proceeds for the underprivileged children. And talking about young people, the Leo's Boys Sports Association, that association that does its tremendous work for 2,000 young boys in the Point and Verdun areas in their annual campaign. And this is a campaign, of course, which deserves the support of anyone interested in the youth. And there's Toe Blake. He is dejected, understandably so. And the Hawks have taken the lead, and Toe Blake, he knows what goals, big goals in playoffs mean. The old lamplighter is the only player in the history of Stanley Cup competition to have scored 2 Stanley Cup winning goals. And Blake did that in 1944 and again in 1946. And when he scored that one in 1944, it was in overtime against the Chicago Blackhawks club. Now the Hawks leading 2-1. We are ready for the resumption of play. Beliveau is on with Russo and Duff against Makita, Warm and Mons. It's back in Chicago territory. Here's Vasco. Playing it on the left wing boards. Makita trying to get it. He pokes it ahead to Mons. Mons going down a right wing pass. Warm was bumped by Duff. But it was shot from the Chicago side of the center red line. And consequently, back it goes into Chicago territory for the face-off. Canadiens sending Ted Harris and J.C. Trombley up to the Chicago line. Beliveau facing off. It goes to Russo. He's bumped out of the play. Now Duff on the boards tries to clear it. Beliveau has it. He takes the shot. Here's Duff rolling it right in front. And Warren knocked it away. Vasco working out for Chicago. A long right wing pass, and it's called on the offside. And you know, it took us a long time, about 6 minutes, according to the clock, to play 1 minute of hockey here in the third period. And that explosion of enthusiasm by this enthusiastic Chicago crowd as a result of Hull's goal meant that debris had been tossed on the ice with the resultant holdup. Now Pierre Pilote on the right side. Here's Makita, number 21, going in. Jammed out of the play by Duff. Ed Harris around his own net. Got away from Warm ahead to Beliveau. A pass to Duff, and Pierre Pilote cleared it out. Harris over on this side. J.C. Tremblay faked a pass from center. He bounces a shot called offside with Beliveau, number 4, cruising in on the right wing ahead of the puck.
This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
How do you like your beer? Bright and clear like Molson Canadian. Switch to Molson Canadian. It's the friendly lager.
Well, of course, the fans in this big stadium are a lot happier now.
And the fellow who scored that goal, Bobby Hull on there, and he really belted Harper in on the boards. A solid body check by Hull. And I don't think Harper was expecting that one. McNeil picks it up on the left side for Chicago. Shoots it into the corner. Is Mackey going in the shot, and he was just wide. Now Richard at center. He's in over the Chicago line. Centered it. Hall deflected it off. Provo has it. His shot. It comes to Ravlich at the side. He cleared it to Esposito. Esposito finally picking his way out. Hall is going to be penalized for charging on Berenson. Hull going off for charging. And he contests the decision with the man who called it, Vern Buffy. Two minutes and 11 seconds in the third period. Hull of Chicago charging. And let's see. Buffy has gone over to that Chicago bench, telling Billy Ray that he wants changes made with greater rapidity by the Chicago team. Hay is on with Nestorenko. It's Beliveau, Richard, Provo, Picard, and Russo. Picard is over the line. The rebound on the shot goes over on the far side. Russo to Beliveau, back to Russo. He slides it in front. And Ravlich takes over against Richard. Here's Provo going to the other side. Hay picks it up, lost it to Provo. Shot it! Oh, Richard just missed on the far side. Richard coming within a whisker of tying it up. The pocket behind Charlie Hodge. A lead pass to Provo over on this side of Beliveau at the Chicago line. Stopped by McNeil, and Hay shoots it down the ice. Chicago Blackhawks 2, Montreal Canadiens 1 here in the third period, nearing the 3:30 mark. Now Richard bouncing a shot in, deflected by Hall. They center it in front. Beliveau's around the net. Beliveau getting set. He takes the shot. Here's Beliveau on the rebound. He cleared it right in front. And Hay comes up with it. And Hay gets it out on the right wing board. And the Hawks have two masters in the penalty killers there, Nestorenko and Hay. Beliveau coming back in. Nestorenko shooting it down on the left side. Cruising back for Montreal is Russo. He's lining up with Beliveau, Richard, and Provo. Picard is trailing. Russo over the line on the right side of Provo. Provo around the net, centered it in front. And it's backhanded down the ice by Mackey. Now Mons coming on. 15 seconds remaining in Hull's penalty. Here's Backstrom speeding in on the right side. He's getting it back to Picard, the shot. And it's wide. Backstrom trying to center it. Mons on the boards. He kicked it out. It goes to center. Bobby Hall is back on the ice, and the Canadiens shoot it in. Hall falls behind the net. Pierre Pilote is trying to cover up. It's Mons coming away with Bobby Hall. Hall takes the pass on the left wing. The shot high off the glass. Ferguson wheeling away for Montreal. The pass gobbled up. Coming back was Hull. Hull plays it on the board. Ferguson got away from Mons. He's in over the Chicago line. Ferguson going to the corner, trying to center it. Vasco rolled it ahead to Mons. Mons coming out. LaRose stopped him and upended him. Here's LaRose taking the shot. And the crowd thought there should have been a penalty on LaRose for upending Mons. And they're reacting against the referee. Now it's cleared down. Pierre Pilote shooting it down. J.C. Tremblay touches it in Chicago. Call for icing. And the crowd getting on Buffy. Vasco talks to the referee. 5 minutes and 9 seconds have been played. In the third period, 2-1 the score. With the Hawks leading. Stanfield in the first period for Chicago. Beliveau for Canadiens in the second. And Hall after 26 seconds in the third for Chicago. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
Lager lovers, switch to Molson Canadian. It's the friendly lager.
Face off to the right of Glenn Hall. And Pierre Pilote got some debris on the end of his stick, and he shot it right back up. And I think it went to the fellow who tossed it on the ice. Berenson, Roberts, and Ferguson. This is the new line for Canadiens. Ed Harris and Tremblay playing up. Hull is on with Nestorenko and Hay. It comes across the goal mouth to Hay in the corner. He played it back to Pierre Pilote. Pilote turns in the corner to get away from Berenson. Pilote has it, still behind. On the left wing boards, Hull gets it out to center. J.C. Tremblay shooting it back in. Nestorenko taking over for Chicago. And the Hawks playing it cozily here. semi-defensive hockey, waiting for the openings. They have that goal lead. Berenson's shot hit Vasco, and Hay cleared it out. Now J.C. Tremblay's pass, and shot knocked down by Stanfield. Stanfield coming in, and Ferguson got back to get it. Ferguson on the boards against Stanfield, number 6. Ferguson came right in front. He's out over the line, at center to the Chicago line, working in on the right side, and it was called on the offside. And with this crowd roaring, often the players do not hear the shrill sound of the offside whistle.
And the play after the whistle, they roll right in there. Glenn Hall spotted that one easily, and you could see by the way the players let up. But many times, as Danny mentioned, it'll go right on, especially if something like the organ gets going.
Ferguson is over the line. Roberts falls. A backhand shot. Hall handled that one easily. Ravlich to Nestorenko. He couldn't get out. Now Berenson, a backhand shot, and Hall very alertly gloved it from around the net. Ravlich coming out. He's picking his way down at center. He's in over the Montreal line. Shoots it off the boards, and Ted Harris goes in. Harris coming out with Ferguson and Berenson. Berenson takes the pass at center, shooting it off to the corner. Hay covers up for Chicago. Now Ted Harris takes a shot. Now it's Ted Harris again, picking up a rebound, trying to center it. Here's Berenson getting set. A loose puck, a backhand shot, and he was wide. Stanfield was upended in the corner by Roberts. Hayes coming back, in on the line. Let's see. The penalty called, and Roberts might get a misconduct. That was called in delayed fashion. The play had swung back down the ice into Canadiens territory, led by Hay. Roberts and Stanfield were still on the ice. Roberts goes off. He argued the point. Whether he argued enough to get a misconduct, we'll have to wait and see. Toe Blake is infuriated. The referee over there, Buffy, is talking to him, and Toe Blake is talking to himself. He was looking for somebody to talk to there, and the only fellow near him was Andy Galley, and Andy didn't seem interested.
Andy, as a matter of fact, just turned and walked away, scratching his head. I think he feels the best thing to do when Toe is in that kind of situation is to keep away from him. He is a tremendously intense coach. He gets so immersed in the game that he is living part of every stroke, every skate step that his players make. With Roberts out, of course, Canadiens lose their top penalty killer.
At 6:55, Roberts 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. And the Hawks lead at 2-1 here in the third period. Warren is on with Nikita, Mons, Bobby Hull, and Pierre Palat. Provo, Berenson. Picard comes to the penalty box to keep Roberts company, and he'll step back on the ice at the expiration of Roberts minor. Now the Hawks are coming in, and Tremblay is there, tied up by Mons. Mons kicks it to the corner. He's getting set. He rolled it right out in front. Hodge is down and made a big save there on Makita. Here's Makita trying to get it. He's getting in close. Berenson took him out of the play. Ted Harris trying to take over safely on the boards for Montreal. Makita shoots it back. J.C. Tremblay in on the boards against Warren. Hodge had lost his stick, and the play is stopped with J.C. Tremblay and Warren holding it long enough against the board. And the Hawks were going there like gangbusters. Talbot, who has had, without a doubt, some of the finest scoring opportunities that he has had in years here tonight. And he had them when he was out there as a penalty killer. He comes on the ice. Face off against Esposito. Henry, Mackey, Esposito. Pierre Pilote and Bobby Hull. It goes to Pierre Pilote. Pilote working over on the other side. Played it into Henry. Here's Henry turning back. It goes to Pierre Pilote to Bobby Hull. Hull shoots it into the corner to Henry. Henry plays it behind the net to Esposito. Off the boards it goes. Mackey falls. Here's Henry getting it back to Hull. Hull's shot is wide. The rebound. And Provo from the corner shoots it down the ice. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty to Roberts. And we've played 8 minutes and 12 seconds in this, the third period. Chicago 2. Montreal 1. Esposito leading a 4-man Hawk attack. It goes to Pierre Pilote over the line, getting in close to Esposito. Esposito couldn't get it. Now he's around the net, trying to center it. The puck is bouncing, and J.C. Tremblay shot it off the boards down the ice. Esposito got right in there, but he really couldn't control the puck. Now it's Hull back. Hull, the left wing pass to Henry over on the right wing boards. It goes to Mackey at center. He gets by Harris, goes to the corner, dropped it back. Ted Harris coming away with Provo. To the Chicago line, a pass to Provo. Provo takes a knee-high shot. And now Picard steps on the ice, and the Canadiens have a complement of 6. Roberts now working on his misconduct. And let's see. Mackey and Talbot went in on the boards and had ideas about squaring off and tossing punches. And I have a feeling that both will go off. We'll wait for the official indication. Now Buffy is over there. So Talbot and Mackey. Right on the nose, the 9th minute mark in the third period. Talbot of Montreal and Mackey of Chicago. High sticking. Beliveau, Russo, Harper, and Ted Harris. Nestorenko, Hay, Ravlich, and McNeil for Chicago. And Al Milgard is getting in the groove. Berenson coming out. In over the line it goes, offside. You have Berenson and Hay out there opposing each other. They are not altogether dissimilar. Both redheads. Both played in American collegiate hockey. Hay at Colorado College and Berenson at the University of Michigan. Both from Western Canada, too. Backstrom turning. Goes to the line, over the line with Berenson. Back it goes to Backstrom, going to get a goal. He shoots, and a haul on the short side. Again, robbed the Canadiens. Berenson put Backstrom right in there. Here's Ravlich turning inside the line. Playing it to Al McNeil. McNeil a pass to Hay. He takes it back in over his own line. Nestorenko finally comes up, gets it. Jammed out of the play. Here's his pass is picked up by Hay. Hay working in on the left wing in Canadian territory. He centers it, and Berenson has it. Berenson wheeling away on the left side. He's over the line. Jammed out of the play by Ravlich, and McNeil takes it behind the Chicago net. He plays it back to Ravlich. Ravlich coming out with Nestorenko. Ahead to Nestorenko at center across the Montreal line. A drop pass. Here's Al McNeil. Over to the point it goes. Berenson coming up. Berenson is at the line. He's cutting in, takes the shot. The loose puck is cleared by McNeil. Nestorenko working his way out, played it on the boards, and it rolls down to the Canadiens' line. 40 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Bobby Russo over the line. He fakes the shot. He centered it. And Makita is there for Chicago. He gets it to the point, not out. Beliveau shoots it. McNeil blocked it and played it over on the right side to Warren. He shot it down the ice, and it is icing called against Chicago. 10 minutes and 35 seconds have elapsed in the third period, and the Chicago Blackhawks, by virtue of goals by Stansfield and Hull, leads the Canadiens 2-1, and the Canadiens goal by Beliveau.
Well, Kenny Warham was lined up by Harris that time, and he really drove him into the boards. And the fact that Warham is still out there skating around shows you the remarkable condition of these hockey players. Pierre Pilato, who hasn't been as noticeable tonight, is still a very remarkable athlete.
Canadians, every man up for the face-off. Beliveau getting it back to the point. It goes between Tremblay and Harper. Tremblay almost lost it there. Now Mons, he lost it to Beliveau, racing down, but Vasco is back there to take over for Chicago. Vasco to the corner to Pierre Pilote. He drops it back to Warham to Vasco. The Hawks starting out, and now Talbot and Mackey are back on. Warham bounces a shot on the short side. Harper jammed in on the boards by Mons. Beliveau couldn't get by Warham. Warham bodied by Harper. Now it goes to Talbot. Talbot, a right wing pass to Russo. He's in on the Chicago line. Russo trying to cut in there, and he and Vasco go down. It's centered. Pilote clearing it out. J.C. Tremblay keeps it in there. Here's Beliveau shooting it, and he was wide. Pierre Pilote out on the left side. Mons down. He's in over the line. A drop pass to Makita. It came out. And Beliveau is going to get a penalty here. He knocked Makita to the ice. He got up a stick that was high and brought Makita down at the Canadiens' line. Beliveau will go off, and now Nick Guerin, the trainer for the Chicago Blackhawks, is out there to check on Stan Makita. And the captain of the Canadiens, John Beliveau, going to the penalty box. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
I like Canadian lager beer.
I'm for export ale.
Canadian.
Export.
I know. We can get both in Molson Pleasure Pack.
Beliveau for high sticking. 11:52. Henry Esposito, Mackey, Bobby Hull, Pierre Pilote against Claude Provost, Talbot, J.C. Tremblay, and Harris. Now Provost is over the Chicago line on the right wing boards, and the shot goes off Hull's stick. Hull, he has scored the goal that is the difference at this point. Hull ahead to Pierre Pilote, out on the line. Now he crosses his own line on the left wing to Henry. Henry shoots it over the other side. Into the corner, Mackey to Pierre Pilote. Pilote going in there. Taken in on the boards by Ted Harris. A bouncing puck to the side. Provost takes it for Montreal. Provost working his way out, gets by Henry on the right side. And he shot it off the boards back into Hawk territory. Hull trying to keep ahead of Provost. Now Hull is out over the line. He still has it. He's across the Montreal line, called on the offside. And there was a great example there of Hull in an offensive role, and Provost out there to check him, staying right with him. But he had trouble on that one. A minute and 6 seconds remaining in the penalty to Beliveau. There has been a total of 22 penalties in the game tonight, 14 to Montreal, 8 to Chicago. And, of course, one of the Montreal penalties of the total of 14, a misconduct to Roberts. Talbot shoots it down the ice. Now Bobby Hull. Dropping it back into the corner. Mackey goes down against Talbot, gets up and gets it again. A left wing pass to Henry. Henry coming out over the line at center. A long pass deflected by Ted Harris. Pierre Pilote working in on the right side, ran into Harris and went down. Canadiens defenseman Ted Harris shooting it down. Now we have Melnick on the ice. Warm, jammed in on the boards heavily by Harris. Here's Henry trying to get through. Into the corner, J.C. Tremblay. Covering up, and Ted Harris is going to get a penalty. And Roberts is saying something to Buffy, and so is Provo. .13:26. Beliveau will be back in 25 seconds. So for the face-off in Canadian territory and for the third time tonight in the game, the Hawks have the advantage of two players, this time for 25 seconds, and the last time for 11 seconds, in the first period for 1 minute and 31 seconds. They have Melnick on with Henry, Warren, Palat, and Hall. Now Mackey is taking over from Warren. Berenson, J.C. Tremblay, and Harper. The Hawks are leading 2-1 here in the third period. Getting set for the face-off. Tremblay gets it for Canadiens, and he backhands it down the ice. Palat looked at the clock, moved back quickly for Chicago. 14 seconds left in Belliveau's penalty. Pierre Palat on the right side. It goes to Mackey. He's in over the line. Mackey is around the net. He sent it right out in front, and Melnick missed it. It's Harper taking it around the net. Harper shoots it down the ice, and Belliveau is back on, and Melnick had a great scoring opportunity set up there by Mackey right in front. Bobby Hull trying to get away from Berenson. He's stopped by Talbot. Talbot jammed out of the play. The Hawks are coming back in on the line. Mackey, and his shot goes off Tremblay's stick and ends up high among the spectators just below the press box behind Charlie Hodge.
Camille Henry had a rather disappointing season after he came over to Chicago, but he has chronic back troubles, and he's going to have an operation in the off-season. Masked Charlie Hodge, the Canadiens' choice as a netminder tonight, due not because of the alternating system entirely, but due to the fact this evening that Gump Worsley sustained a torn thigh muscle in the warm-up, and Blake, therefore, had his choice made for him. Ernie Wakely is dressed as the spare goaltender, and Gump Worsley is sitting in the stands.
Provo takes over from Berenson. Ed Harris still in the penalty box. Now here's Worm shooting it on a pass from Makita. Moans from the corner, getting it back to Ravlich. Ravlich winds up, and Talbot is starting out with Provo. Talbot is over the line. Gives it to Provo. Back on the boards. Worm back to Ravlich. Makita, a left wing pass to Moans. They're down at center. In on the Canadiens line. Moans trying to set up Makita, and Provo shoots it down the ice. Harper upended Moans. Ted Harris still in the penalty box. 40 seconds left in his penalty. Kenny Warren over to Makita. Makita coming down with Warren and Moans over the line. Called offside. 5 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in regulation time, and the Hawks leading by 1 goal. 2-1. We're noticing that Pocket Richard has not been out there for some time, but it may be just because of the fact that there has been a great frequency of penalties. But the Pocket is over there on the Canadiens bench. Provo coming over to talk to Ted Harris. Can't recall the last time that the teams had a full complement of 6. That is in this period. Now Harper backhands it down to the Chicago line. Here's Ravlich. Ravlich coming on the left wing to center. Going to the Canadiens line. Plays it on the boards. J.C. Tremblay lost it to Ravlich. Ravlich still has it. He's getting set. Couldn't center it against Tremblay. Tremblay laid it on the boards. Lost it to Makita. Makita against Tremblay, and Harper goes in. And he gets it high, right to the Canadiens bench. And there are now 8 seconds remaining in Ted Harris' penalty. And less than 5 minutes left in regulation time. 4 minutes and 43 seconds. And we have Nestorenko, Stanfield, and Hay on for the Hawks. Stanfield facing off against Provo. Now it comes back to Hay. He scores! Here's the replay. Bill Hay working in from the faceoff. And it was from that face-off position that Stanfield himself was able to go in the first period. This time he got the draw to Hay. Hay worked in and shot it to the lower right-hand corner. And the 6'3", 195-pound native of Saskatoon, Bill Hay, gives the Chicago Blackhawks a 3-1 lead. .20. Bill Hay, who is a full-fledged geologist, a graduate from Colorado College, as we mentioned before, getting a big goal here with less than 5 minutes remaining for the Chicago Blackhawks. And the goal gives the Hawks a 3-1 lead. Now Duff is coming back to the Chicago line. Canadians shoot it in. Duff taken out of the play by Palat. Vasco to the corner to Nestorenko. Jammed out of the play, but Russo got the worst of it. He went down. Here's Hay coming in again, and the shot went off Tremblay's stick. Way upstairs. Face off at the point from where that puck was shot, about 15 feet in over the Canadiens' line. And Stanfield, for a 20-year-old, having a wonderful night here for Chicago, a goal and an assist. Number 6. From the face-off, he cleared it into the corner. Here's ahead to Beliveau. Beliveau down at center, going to the Chicago line. He's over the line. A pass, and Nestorenko takes it off to the wing and shoots it to the Montreal blue line, and Tremblay. Over on the other side to Ted Harris. Pierre Palat cleared it into the Chicago bench. And there are now 3 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the third period. 3-1 for the Hawks, and this game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
For true ale flavor, Molson Export Ale, the big ale in the big land.
Canadiens in Chicago territory. There's going to be a Chicago penalty. Hodge is out of the net. Vasco. He asked the referee if it were he. Now the referee is going over toward Nestorenko, but it is Vasco. Big opportunity now for the Canadiens, who trail by 2 goals with Vasco off. And the time of the goal, 16-17. And there's the time of the penalty, rather. And there's Hay, who ordinarily is out in a penalty-killing role, but this time he had just served an offensive assignment. So we're going to have Mons and Mackey For the Canadiens, Belleville, Provo, Cournoyer, Richard is now on with Rousseau, and Rousseau takes the pass over the line of Provo. Here's Provo going in back. It comes to Cournoyer. He couldn't get the shot away. Richard has it in the corner for Montreal. He centered it. Provo back to Belleville. His shot. And McNeil slid in front of it. Here's Provo taking his shot. McNeil is down. And Mackey shoots it down the ice. Right on Charlie Hodge. Richard around the net. Now he's leading a four-man Montreal attack. He comes to center. A high shot. Hall cleared it off on the wing. Belleville gets it back to the point. No one there to get it. And it's Rousseau at the Canadiens line to Richard. They hit over the line. No one could get it again. And Ravlich shoots it down the ice. Bobby Rousseau, number 15, back for it. And now Bill Hay is on the ice. Richard leading the four-man Montreal attack. In on the wing, it goes to Provo. He cleared it to the corner. Ravlich around the net. Here's Cournoyer trying to keep it in. McNeil moves in for Chicago along with Provo, and the play is stopped for a face-off to the left of Glenn Hall. And the Canadiens now are going to make a change. Duff comes on. It's Duff, Rousseau, Richard, Belleville, Cournoyer. Now Provo comes over. On right wing, Cournoyer goes off. So Toblake going for the experience out there. Hay up front with Nestorenko on the face-off. It's back to the point. Here's Bobby Rousseau winding up for the shot. It hit Nestorenko. He finally saw it and cleared it into the Canadian zone. Richard playing it on the boards. Nestorenko gets possession. He's going to hold it there if he can. But Provo works out for Montreal. Down with Belleville. Over the line. A pass to Duff. There's a shot. It's wide. Here's Richard going in. Tries to center it. Hay has it for Chicago. And he lobs it high in the air down the ice. And Vasco is still off. We have 2 minutes remaining in regulation time. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Canadian Duff streaking up. In on the line with Rousseau going in a goal. He shoots. And Hall on the short side got his pad on it. It's cleared down the ice by Mackey. Vasco is back on the ice, and we have 1 minute and 38 seconds remaining. 3-1 for Chicago. And this crowd beginning to sense a Hawk victory, beginning to clap. Now it's Duff with time running out for Montreal. Shooting it in there. Hall left it for Pierre Palat. It goes to Mackey. He just tipped it ahead to Bobby Hall. Hall is coming down with Melnick. Now here's Hall trying to get in front. He shoots. He scores! A beautiful goal. Here's the replay. A beautiful goal by Bobby Hall. With that great speed, he was able to cut in there. And the Hawks lead at 4-1. Bobby Hall now has a total of 10 goals. He is just 2 off the all-time playoff record of 12 goals. .48. Melnick getting the assist and getting back to Hull as he closes in dramatically on that record of the greatest number of goals in the playoffs. Rocket Richard and John Belleville of Montreal are the co-holders of the record. And Hull now, with his 2 goals tonight, has a total of 17 points. And he is just 4 now off the record for the total playoff point total of 21, held by Makita.
Well, of course, the crowd's still buzzing over that dramatic performance. That was a shot, I believe I saw Gump Worsley behind the glass through the goal cage there.
4-1 for Chicago. It's Ferguson on with Berenson and LaRose, Melnick, Henry, Up front for Chicago with McKenzie. On for the first time tonight. McKenzie to Henry. Now here's Ferguson trying to come up with it in Chicago territory. And there are 55 seconds remaining. McKenzie coming down. He played it ahead. He's knocked to the ice by Talbot in delayed fashion. Ferguson ran into the back of the net. Now he's coming out. Flipped it into the center ice area. Vasco breaks it up for Chicago. And there are 38 seconds remaining. And this crowd beginning to applaud once again as they look up at the clock. Now it's Henry. Losing it on the right side to LaRose, going in. Vasco cleared it ahead to Henry. Henry a long pass out to McKenzie. He's in on the right side, trying to get in front. And a shot that actually was a pass across the goal mouth. Went to the side. Berenson coming down. He's knocked to the ice by Jarrett. Here's Jarrett getting a break. He's in on the line. He's getting set. He scores! Here's the replay. Doug Jarrett making it 5-1 on a breakaway, and that for Jarrett is his first playoff goal, and he takes the puck over there as a souvenir. And that comes with about 3 seconds remaining. 1957, Jarrett unassisted. And the Hawks have certainly broken this game wide open here in the third period. Hull, Hay, Hull, and Jarrett getting the goal. And this series now an exact replica of the semifinals for the Chicago Blackhawks. They lost the first two to Detroit, came on to win the next two. And now with 2 seconds remaining, the play is on again. It's all over. And the Hawks defeat the Montreal Canadiens. Now Toe Blake is out on the ice. He's trying to get at the referee. And Andy Galley and Larry Abbott, the trainer and assistant trainer respectively, keeping Toe Blake away from Vern Buffy. There you see Blake. And he's trying to move toward the official Buffy, and Picard is assisting the trainers, leading Blake to the Canadiens dressing room. And the crowd giving him the Bronx cheer. And so the final score at the end of 3 periods, Chicago 5, Montreal 1. This game is coming to you from the stadium in Chicago.
In this big land of ours, you'll always find a touch of tradition. In the taste of today. Relaxing hobbies and a fine ale go hand in hand. And the ale modern people like best is Molson Export Ale.
The big ale in the big land is Molson Export Ale.
See what develops when you enjoy the true ale taste of Molson Export Ale.
The big ale in the big land is Molson Export Ale.
You'll enjoy the touch of tradition in the taste of today's Molson Export Ale.
The big ale in the big land is Molson Export Ale.
Big in flavor, big in popularity. Canada's largest selling ale.
The big ale in the big land is Molson Export Ale.
From Molson's independent brewers since 1786.
Number 1 star is picked by Don Marshall, Bobby Hall. Another great night, Bob.
Thanks, Ward. Came at a good time.
Tell me, was it seemed like a much tougher hockey game tonight?
It was. It was very close up until the last half of that period when we were able to break out. But it was a close checking game. It was anyone's game up until then.
And the ice seemed to be better tonight, was it?
It was a little better, but it was still soft. The weather has been pretty mild, and it's pretty hard when you got 20,000 people in a building and the way the temperature was outside to have real hard ice.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, how do you feel about going back to Montreal now?
Well, we have to win one there, and it might just as well be the next one, Ward.
Well, congratulations for another great game, Bob, and
Thanks,
good luck
Ward.
to you.
Appreciate
now
it.
back to Frank Selke Jr. and Don Marshall.
Frank Selke with Don Marshall. Don, you said that if this was tied or close at the end of two periods, that somebody was going to have to open up, and that's exactly what Chicago did.
Of course, Chicago sure broke the game open towards the end of it, but up until then it was pretty tight.
I don't know, maybe I jinxed Bobby Hull or put the hex on the Canadiens, because just before the third period started, I was talking to Ab McDonald about Bobby not having scored in the series, 26 seconds later being in the net. So that was the start of you selecting him as the first star.
Well, that was the beginning of it, and the second goal was certainly the frosting. But I thought he played well all through it. He's carrying the puck well. He's breaking out at his end with it, and he's had Provo checking him at all times. And when he gets away from Provo, there's always one or two other Canadians to get after him. But I thought he never gave up, and his shot, the shot he took from the point dropped on Charlie, I think, quite a bit, and that's how it went in. The second goal, but also the fact that he was the driving force in moving the puck up the ice for Chicago whenever he was on the ice.
A great hockey player at all times, and particularly tonight. Now, how about number 2, Don?
I picked Freddie Stanfield. He didn't play a great deal, but he scored the first goal from a face-off, and he set up the third Chicago goal also from a face-off in the Montreal end, and for that reason I picked him.
All right, how about number 3?
I had a hard time with the third star, and I wanted to give it to Montreal. I tossed it up between Claude Provo, Jim Roberts, and J.C. Tremblay, and at the end I decided on Provo. Because of his work with Hull, he killed penalties well, and he played an all-around good game.
All right, Don, thanks very much. Don Marshall stars then, Bobby Hull, Freddie Stanfield, Claude Provo. The Canadiens outshot the Blackhawks by 26-25. Once again, the final score, the Chicago Blackhawks 5, the Montreal Canadiens 1. Frank Selke Jr. with Donnie Marshall bidding you good night from the Chicago Stadium.
The second half of tonight's Stanley Cup playoff has been brought to you by Molson's. Independent brewers since 1786. Brewers of Molson Canadian Lager Beer and Molson Export Ale.
This telecast, Hockey Night in Canada, is the property of the advertisers. Reproduction by any means, in whole or in part, without permission, is prohibited.
Negro writer James Baldwin and editor William Buckley Jr. discuss the state of the Negro in the United States. Tomorrow night on the 16th.